everyone, Brittany with the Scott Life. Anyone who is thinking about growing their family or currently pregnant and full-time traveling while doing so, this video is for you. We've had a lot of questions around how pregnancy on the road works, so I'm going to share my experience with you and at the end give some tips to help with your pregnancy while traveling. First, let me go ahead and share my experience. I was 3 months pregnant when we officially launched into full-time RV travel. Weeks 4 through 28, it is recommended to have a checkup once a month. So I was able to get 2 appointments in at my regular OBGYN in Kansas City before we left. My first appointment while on the road, we were in Texas, specifically San Antonio area, and I figured with a larger city it'd be pretty easy to go ahead and get an appointment there. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that it was easy because it was far from it, and there's 2 different reasons why. Now, at the time, Ben was working remotely for a corporation in Kansas City, and along with his job came insurance. The first hurdle was finding a doctor with a network. Now, his insurance was a PPO, so the difficulty level wasn't too bad, but it did offer some limitations. When I finally found a list of a handful of options, I went ahead and called, explained to them that I traveled full-time, and that I was 16 weeks pregnant and needed a monthly checkup. The first 2 denied seeing me because of the second hurdle, which is insurance. Now, the way insurance works with pregnancy is different than going to the doctor when you're sick. If you visit a doctor for sickness or for a broken bone, they bill the insurance on a per appointment basis, so they're getting paid soon after from insurance or from your deductible. With pregnancy, they do not bill your insurance until you have the baby. This means they're not seeing payment for their services until your baby is born many, many months later. To ensure they truly receive payment, they will see what the deductible is for your insurance, set up a monthly payment plan or payment in full to ensure that they receive payment during your care. Now, the third office I called to schedule my 16-week appointment with, I knew that I had to approach my wording a little bit differently. So instead of being open about our lifestyle, I informed them that I was new to the area, which was true, but what they didn't know was that they were not going to see me for future appointments. So I got my appointment scheduled, and a few days before, they called to inform me that because of the way my insurance is billed and because of how far along I was in my pregnancy, I was going to have to pay $600 prior to being seen. Now, this is a result of how pregnancy is billed, as I just mentioned. Ouch. Now, this threw me off because in my mind I should have been charged for only a single appointment. But again, with pregnancy, billing is very differently. So realistically, it wasn't that big of a deal. That $600 was going to be applied to my deductible and I was going to have to pay it no matter what. But at this point, it was kind of the principle of how the office was handling the situation over the phone with me. So I decided to cancel my appointment altogether, and this was the result of me missing my very first appointment on the road. Now, my big 20-week ultrasound appointment was next, and at this point I felt a little bit discouraged because of my previous month's experience. I didn't really feel comfortable going to any random doctor on the road for this one, so I decided to go ahead and book a flight back to KC to see my original OBGYN and also an excuse to visit old friends. I was thrilled to find at my appointment that baby girl was doing great and at this point had no complications in my pregnancy. Now, we continued traveling, but we had a slight hiccup in our plans. Ben's corporate position didn't end up working out remote, so here we were, unemployed, pregnant, and we didn't have any insurance. The first thing that we looked into was Cobra, but at nearly $1,500 a month, and that didn't even include the $3,800 deductible, we knew that this couldn't work for us. So we started looking into alternative options, such as Medishare. Now, the crazy thing is with my pregnancy, it's actually considered a pre-existing condition, so I actually couldn't even get coverage through any of the plan share options. After doing a little bit of research, we found really the only thing available in our current situation was me getting state assistance. Now, because of traveling and our insurance lapse, I ended up missing my 24 and 28-week appointments, but I was able to receive Medicaid and completed my pregnancy in Michigan, where we were stationary flipping a house for new income. Even though we were stationary, it was very difficult to find offices with my due date availability. I ended up calling 8 different doctors, and I finally found one who was willing to take me at 30 weeks pregnant. So be aware, when planning your pregnancy, make sure you have a plan of when you plan on becoming stationary to ensure that you're making those arrangements well in advance. Now, everything from here on out went wonderfully with our pregnancy, and I'm so excited to announce the addition of our second daughter, Callie Mae, into our family on July 1st. Now, I've heard others who have completed all of their appointments remotely with a midwife, and when labs or testing were needed, they would go ahead and place an order for those at the location that you were at that time. Now, I don't have experience with this route, but it may be a potential option to look into with your pregnancy. Now, although my experience will more than likely not be your experience while traveling on the road, I hope that this gives you some insight on what to expect or things to think about in advance. So my tips for you. First, you're going to get a lot of confused doctors and nurses, so sometimes the less information shared is actually better. If you do share your lifestyle, just be prepared for people to look down on you slightly for potentially risking the health of your baby. What? Number 2. Before leaving your appointment, get a copy of your records from each appointment you attend or have them go ahead and email it to you. This way you can bring to your next appointment, as most will require those previous records. 3. Be prepared to stop a lot more than you currently do on travel days because a pregnant lady needs to pee a lot. 4. Schedule time into your drive to get out and walk. It is so important to do this to prevent blood clots. 5. Plan ahead. When planning your route, determine where you need to be when appointments are coming up. 6. Be flexible. All pregnancies are different, and being on the road may cause you to change your plans, so don't stress it and prepare to be flexible. If your pregnancy has complications, be prepared and willing to adjust as necessary. Number 7, and my final tip for you. If you do have to miss an appointment, just be aware of what you potentially missed so you can go ahead and have that taken care of at the next appointment that you're seen at. If you don't know what those items are, head on over to our blog and we'll have a generic list of what is going to happen at each of your appointments to make sure that you don't miss anything along the way. Pregnancy on the road can be a little daunting at times, but ultimately, no, it can be done. I've been through it and I would love to support you through it too. So if there's anything I can do or answer for you, please don't hesitate to reach out. And also a big congratulations on a future addition to your family.